All righty, good morning, everybody. For those of you that may not recognize me, my name is Dustin Curb. I'm a new staff member with the SBC staff. And I'll be kind of leading through this tag meeting to get us going. This is a pretty informal meeting just to kind of get everybody informed on what's kind of been happening and what we got going on. So we're not looking for a quorum or anything like that. But I will be doing a roll call here shortly and we'll see who all's here and then we'll move on with the agenda. And I guess with that, I will begin a roll call. So I'm gonna do each individual tag separately. So I've got the building tag I'm gonna run through first. And first I got Todd Bayruther. Mark Sniffen.
Here, by the way, Todd.
Present.
Oh, Todd's present. Adam Phillips. Alan Spalding.
Here.
Andrea Smith. Bill Mybush. Charles Calvano. Chris Seaman. Corey Thomas.
Who's here?
Yep. Dave Germer. Michael Barth.
I'm here.
Susan Kaufman. Roger Haringa.
I'm here.
Sean Karlstrom.
I'm here.
And Tom forgive me if I get this wrong, Shia. All right, that concludes the building tag. We're gonna go with the residential tag next. Micah Chappelle. He'll be late. Yep, I heard he'll be late. Annie O'Rourke.
Present.
Damon Doyle. Darren Watkins. Darren Graham.
Present.
Jennifer Eliuk.
Here.
Michelle Yee. Tai Kien. On Perkerowicz.
It's really, yeah. Hey, Perkowitz, I'm here.
Okay, gotcha. Todd Short.
Here.
That concludes the residential tag. We're gonna go over the fire tag. I should have Corey Thomas already in here and Roger Haringa. I'm gonna skip your names. Chris Seaman. Dave Cocott.
Present.
Ken Brulette.
Here.
Kevin Marr. Mike Six. Tai Kuyen. Ricky Campbell. Zach Tuck. All righty. So with that one, let's see who just checked in with us. Got Todd Short, just short up. Nope, never mind. We already got you. All right, so with that one, we're gonna go over the agenda here a little bit. I have that shared on screen here. We're gonna go over the agenda. We don't really need to approve it. What we got going on is some off-cycle rules that we're going to be going over with individual tags. We're going to be looking to adopt the R4 occupancy group. This is a request from the Department of Health. And we have a little bit of proposal on that one. And so we want to bring that before both the building tag and the fire tag. And then the next one we have on there is the modification of the definition of family home childcare and its provisions. This is a request from the Department of Children, Youth, and Families, the DCYF. They are wanting to increase the number of children allowed in a home child daycare. So with that one, I'm gonna kick off. I'm gonna show you some stuff for the R4 occupancy and open the floor for some discussion on that.
So the plan here is just, we want to let you know what we are doing, and we want to start with the technical advisory groups after the council meeting on March 17. So it will be the following week or the week after that. We will have the residential code tag, the main entity, if I can say that, for the childcare work. And we will be inviting the fire code tag and taking into account the fire code tag members' recommendations and feedback. And we need to further discuss the R4 occupancy. Most of the changes will be in the building code, so we can have the building code, the approving entity, but we also will have the fire code tag. So we can discuss this further. The task for both projects, both off-cycle rules, the task was to get them done by April 15th. Not sure we can meet this deadline. For R4, we have one proposal submitted by Ron Wright, and we added all sections that may need evaluation because the R4 are there. So some of the sections will be further amended. We're waiting for the Department of Health. If we can get a proposal from the Department of Health or some feedback on Ron Wright's proposal, but we'll get into these details when we start the technical advisory group meetings. And Dustin can share more information regarding the child care. He's being the main person from our staff that is coordinating and working on this.
All right, so we should see some of the stuff we got for the R4 here on my screen share here. And like Stoney said, we have a preliminary proposal going on, and so if you want to elaborate a little bit more on that one.
Well, I don't want to spend too much time on it. Again, we started with one proposal that was submitted. We added all sections in the building in the fire code that will need evaluation, and we will start discussing this most likely next, well, as I said, after the council meeting. So it's, what is the date? I can't remember, but we want to start this in March. And when we start meeting specifically for this proposals, then we can share more details. Why we invited you today, again, to let you know what you're doing, and if you can provide us with some feedback, some how you want to work on this. Do we have any special requests? We want to have it with the same procedure as we did for the 2021 code adoption cycle, but our ears are open for different recommendations.
Is it possible to make a clarification here? Stein, this is Ron Wright.
Yes, sir.
The item, for instance, that's on the screen right now is in fact the submittal that I submitted. And I just, from what I heard, what you're waiting for is a response right now from the Department of Health to this submittal. Is that correct?
No, what you have on the screen, 1/3 is your submittal, and the rest of it, sections that you didn't include in your submittal, but these sections, they had R4 occupancy there. So we don't necessarily need to amend these sections, but they need to be evaluated.
I see. So you're going to provide a follow-up that is directly coordinated with the submittal that I provided that will elaborate or identify these other code sections that are not included in the proposal that I provided?
So we will have your submittal to start with, and your submittal is part of our document that you see on the screen. And then we can start discussing section by section. So it's not the reason for this meeting, so I don't want to get into details related to the proposal.
Because so far, this is actually my submittal. And so, because there was more than just the adoption of the R4, my submittal actually included these items that you do see here on the screen.
Yes, again, we added more sections to your submittal, so.
Okay. And I guess my question is where, when you say you added them, where are those sections that you added?
The sections are added in the back of the document. Again, these are sections that show R4.
I see,
and
okay. Because right now, this entire document that you have up is my document.
Your document is the main document there. We just added more sections there.
Okay,
When we get to the meetings, we'll show your document as proposed with your rationale there. But we can't work in the PDF document, so we will have everything in a Word document that we will be discussing and we will be modifying potentially.
okay.
Your document won't get lost.
No, I just clarifying what's being added or where, and just making sure it's clear that what's actually, there was more that was presented in the proposal than simply adopt the R4, in that there was a review that was done on our side to try to find these other sections and have in fact included them. And as you say, it's a large code, so there's a lot of other places that we may not have got. That's fine.
Everything will be taken into consideration when we start working there.
Do we want to chat more about the R4 topic, or should we move on to the DCYF home child care provisions?
The question I have is a general question about the procedure. So what we want to do, we will have a residential code tag and the fire code tag attending the same meeting, and then on the other side for the R4, we will have the building code tag and the fire code tag. And my question for you folks is, does it sound like a good idea, or you want to do it separately? If we can get some feedback on that. I'll
Well, I did raise my hand. I didn't know if everybody saw that or not. So
Yeah, we saw it, yeah.
basically, having been involved in several tags in the past, we did do some combining of tags in the past. Created it as a new tag. We don't necessarily have to do that. I see that it could be a consensus group of both tags together, working together on the same subject. I don't see there's a concern from, at least from my standpoint of being on the fire tag and working with either group to come up with a good language. This is Dave Copon, by the way.
The initial plan was to establish a work group, but the problem was that most of the candidates for the work group, they were already technical advisory group members. So there wasn't any need to have this work group established by PAC members and then run the process, run the technical advisory group process. So I decided to start directly with the technical advisory group.
Well, I've got my hand. Hi, this is Al Spalding. I've got my hand up here. I support what Dave Cocott said. I don't find that there would be any reason not to combine. I think that would make a lot of sense from my perspective as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
this is Mike Barth.
Okay.
I agree. It should be worked together. One question I have is, for decades, we've struck these from the code, at the request of the Department of Health. And what has changed at the state level for this, or for that matter, what has it been the change in the I code that now matches Washington State? So are we going to get some information from DOH?
Well, our research indicates that back before the adoption of the international codes, the state had adopted a occupancy group of LC, licensed care facilities. And in the adoption of the international codes, that particular occupancy group went away, and nothing was done to replace it. And so according to what we've heard from the Department of Health, there is a gap in the occupancy groups that makes it a little cost prohibitive for smaller licensed care facilities to be constructed and operate.
It wasn't a request by the Department of Health only. There were several comments received by stakeholders, and we had this discussion during 2, even 3 council meetings. I don't know if you're aware of that, but there was also a Senate bill proposed that was requiring the State Building Code Council to adopt R4. We worked with the sponsor and the bill is formally dead. We promised that we will, we were already working on this R4, but it's not a direct adoption or not adoption on R4. There are other considerations that we need to take in order to make the code applicable to this licensed care facilities. I don't know if Al Spalding wants to add something for.
Yeah, thank you, Stoyan. I appreciate that. Well, I am available for any additional information, but in kind of just a nutshell, the model codes have evolved over the years, and they've been tested and tried. And for whatever reason, we don't actually take responsibility for not adopting the R4 back in the day. We might have had our hands in that, but it was the State Building Code Council's decision. So that's water under the bridge, but the model codes have evolved in a way that really provide for an excellent opportunity for licensed mental health and substance use disorder facilities in certain of these facilities, not all, to take advantage of this. And so there has been a gap. We've had a one size fits all for a considerable time, and that no longer serves the state very well at all. And so we're hoping that through working with, we by the way, we do intend to submit our own code proposal. I'm working on it. I just haven't had a chance to get it done. We're a little stretched a little thin at the moment. And I intend to also coordinate with Ron on his proposal as well. So if there's any additional questions I can help out with, I'm available. Thank you.
Hey, Ruther?
Thank you. So yeah, I think there's consensus already, but as current chair of the IBC, I agree. There's good reason to just bring it all together, IRC, IFC, IBC, and unrelated to this. If some of these current bills in legislature go through, we're gonna get good at that, at those mixed work groups. So I'm in favor.
So the question I have is, or a comment, whatever it is for the childcare. The childcare, all these requirements are 90% in the residential code. So it's not only the modifying the definition for childcare, but there are some provisions that we will be modifying. So the heavy lifting will be in the residential code tag, but we want to hear the fire code tag. The issue here is when we start having these technical advisory group meetings, we want to do it on Wednesdays because we're busy with other projects and Fridays are always for the council meetings and the standing committee meetings. Nobody wants to have meetings on Mondays, and on Tuesday it's very difficult to have the quorum. The problem is for the fire code TAC, if TAC members, let's say if we have meetings in the morning for R4 and afternoon for the childcare, we may end up wasting all day for the fire contact members. So we want to coordinate with the fire contact members. I don't have the answer yet. I don't know how we can work on this. One option is we'll work with the residential contact, and when we are close to agreeing on a language, then we can involve the fire contact. That's one option, but again, our ears are open. So any feedback on this topic, I would really appreciate it.
And so I've changed the screen share to show kind of the language that was developed with the work group between me, some Seattle building officials, and some of the members at the Department of Children, Youth and Family. You know, the background that I see here is that the modification made in the Washington Code is already an increase from 5 to 12 children allowed in a home family child care scenario. The DCYF is wanting to increase to 18, but they do realize that 16 is a number that's more familiar with the code as far as limitations that put you into different categories. They're asking for 18, but you'll notice here that 16 is included in the definition. It would be modified. Another thing that we agreed on in the work group is that the current modification doesn't necessarily read super well for clarity. There is a disagreement on whether or not some of the provisions applied to all family home child care. And you'll notice that I have section 331.3 for up to 6 children. So we had some confusion based on the current language, whether or not these sections below in the egress applied to home family child care up to 6 children, or whether or not it was 7 to 12 children where that applied. Anyway, we've got some code language here to kind of clean up the way it already reads. And then down towards the bottom, we have the kind of additions to the current requirements that were thrown out as a way to get more safety for the occupants of a building without having to go into the building code. And we didn't get much mileage, or in my opinion, we didn't get much mileage out of those requirements for justification on increasing up to even 16. But I would like to discuss that with the tags and maybe come up with some additional requirements.
So it looks like the first meeting most likely will be on March 22nd. And even if we can't have the quorum on these meetings, we will be taking notes and the meetings will be recorded. So staff will be taking into consideration our comments until we get to the next meeting.
Do you have an idea of what time of day?
10 o'clock, most likely for one tag, and for the other tag, 1 o'clock, 1 or 2.
Hey, Stoyan, I don't know if you guys are aware, but that's the week that Wobble Education Week. And so I don't know who here is going to be attending some of the training, but just an FYI.
Okay, thanks. Well, again, as I said, it's we understand that it's a busy time of the year, so we are expecting sometimes we won't have the quorum, but we want to we want to keep the discussions going, so we will be taking good notes and, you know, if we don't have the quorum, we won't have any vote on anything, but we want to discuss the language. Usually with the technical advisory group meetings, we start with proposals that are a done deal. But in this case, our proposals are just early preliminary proposals, so we'll need some extra time to discuss this proposal. So again, we'll take the risk of not having quorums on some of the meetings, but we want to keep the discussion going.
Well, as a suggestion, I being part of the fire code tag and I did notice that the number of the people from that tag are not participating today. I think what we may want to do with that particular group is there's a consideration is to poll them as to which particular item they have interest with so that we may be able to split them up so we don't have to worry about a full quorum of both tags for each meeting. Just as a suggestion to kind of reduce that, because I have a feeling we may not get enough of the fire tag if on one subject versus the other, versus those that have the stronger interest can still participate and represent the tag.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
This is Corey Thomas. I'm on both the fire and building tags. Wednesdays are fine with me. Yeah, that's one of my better days for meetings. So just so you know.
Well, when we start, let's say we'll start on 22nd. So when we start, we can adjust. You know, we'll see how many people are participating. We'll have smaller group of people, and we may have better ideas. So we'll adjust. But it will be a long process. Anybody else? Any suggestion, comment, complaint?
This is Al Spalding. I like Wednesdays. That works great for me.
Yeah, this is
Miguel?
Quinn. I'm in the IFC and IRC tag, and Wednesday works except for the first one since I'll be at the Wobble education training.
Okay.
Like Barth,
Yeah,
Wednesdays work for me.
I'll be in training. This Mark Snippet. I'll be in training the week of the 20th through the 24th.
How about we put out a poll, see how many people are gonna attend training? If we've got a majority in
We
training,
can,
we'll
yeah.
put off to the next week.
We can do that. So yeah.
Alrighty, I think if there's anything else, we're due to adjourn this meeting.
Thank you for all the really good communication around this.
You're welcome. Last comments, anybody?
So I think this is long coming. I'm glad to see it moving forward.
Any chance you can send out those work product that you've created so we can prepare for the meetings?
We can do that.
The other thing
But
that I
keep
would
in
offer,
mind,
oh, sorry.
these are very rough proposals, so it's not a done deal. Again, we'll spend time discussing, so don't consider it as official proposal.
I didn't hear, is that a yes or a no? I understand
Yes,
what
I
you're
said
saying, Stoyan.
yes. I said yes,
Okay.
but I know you're too picky sometimes, so we'll keep working on this proposal. That was a job.
Well,
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to, you said that you mentioned that there was a work group that worked on things and so I
The
was hoping
work
that we could see that work so we don't redo that work up front?
We'll send you the proposal.
Thanks.
The other thing I was offering it, or I guess I could coordinate with you, was a 10-minute time period to actually walk through existing plans and pictures and documentation of the actual physical reality of what this type of facility is. Because I'm finding in my own communications that it's been very difficult to grasp because there's so few of these facilities in the state. And just to get a sense of what the parameters are and why this has become an issue, particularly for the 16. So I'll work with Dustin, or at least and try to get as much information as you need up front so that there's a better knowledge base for people as we begin to look at this.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, well, with that, we'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting, and I'll send out a poll to everybody to see what the education scheduling looks like. And if we're not gonna have a majority available for the first week after the council meeting, we'll postpone to the next week after that. Thank you, guys, and have a good rest of your day.
Thank you, everybody, for attending.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.